Where are you originally from, and what made you decide to open the Trump store in Christiansburg?
Originally, I'm from Lynchburg, Virginia. That's where I was born and raised. And I decided to open the Trump store in it was 2021. And that was right after COVID, or even during COVID, when, I would go put on my Trump hat and go through Walmart, Home Depot, or Lowe's, because they were majorly the only stores open. And people would say, "Hey, I like your hat." Or they would lean over and say, "Hi, I like that hat." Or they give you the thumbs up, or they whisper. And I said, "Why are we whispering? We have freedom of speech. We can wear what we want to wear and do what we want to do in this country." And so I decided that, we need to be able to express ourselves. So I went to a gentleman that I had met during 2020, and I had bought some items from him. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to open a store. And so that's why I did it. So like-minded people could gather and talk freely.
That's nice. How long have you lived in Christiansburg?
I've lived in Christiansburg about 6 years now. And I came here because my husband lives here. I got married, and my husband is from Christiansburg.
That's really nice. How long have you been a Trump supporter, and what policies about Trump draws you to him?
I have been a Trump supporter ever since actually 2007. That was way before he ever ran. And it's not necessarily the policies. It is about our country. And for me, I love this country. I love this nation. And I have been watching my nation and concerned about my nation ever since I was 15 years old. And I always studied trends. And I saw that the nation itself, the culture, was trending in the wrong way. And I said, this is not the kind of country that I want to live in or raise my child in or children in. I have one child now. But as far back as I was 15 years old, I found out that, we sometimes get too busy. And during my young life, I had a career. And when you're young and you're into your career, you're working, and, you just don't pay attention to what's happening in the culture. In other words, we disconnect from what's really happening in Washington, D.C. Are our representatives still protecting the Constitution of the United States? You see, when I grew up in school, we recited the Pledge of Allegiance. We also recited the preamble to the Constitution. I know what the Constitution says because I grew up in the 60s, in the 70s, and so actually in the 60s. And so during the 70s, I thought things are going awry, with all the rioting and things like that. But I learned something. I read a book. It was by John Nesbitt, and the book was Megatrends. And I started studying trends. And I thought, this trend is going the wrong way. So that was my interest. It even went back as far as when I was 10, 11, 12 years old. National Geographic was my favorite magazine, and my mother subscribed to that magazine for me. And I would study the peoples of the world and how they lived. And I thought, why? There has to be a reason for the poverty in Africa. And the one thing I always tell people when they ask about racism, you know what I say? I am so thankful, and I used to pray every night, that my ancestors did not miss the boat from Africa, because I'm in America. And according to Acts 15:26, those are the boundaries for me. And that's where I'm supposed to be in order to carry out my purpose.
I feel like this is probably a question you get quite often, but do you ever feel like you experience a different type of support because you are a Black woman? And how do you identify your Black ideology with Trump?
Okay, I don't identify any way except that I'm an American. I identify by my nationality. I am an American. I'm not a hyphenated American. I'm not an African American. I am an American. In my background, I have Caucasian, there is American Indian, and also Black. So we all a melting pot. So I am an American, a proud American. So how do I identify with him? Two things. One thing I know is he was chosen by God. This is his purpose, and he is playing out his purpose. His purpose is to restore the nation. He restores the nation through policies. So it's not about policies and it's not about our issues. It's about the goal of the country. And this is the way I like to explain it. We're all in a boat on the sea of life. And if we sit there and punch holes in the boat, individual holes, we all sink eventually. The other thing is, I like to say it this way, plantations. If we take America and carve it up into slices, there's a disability plantation, there is a Black plantation, there's African American plantation, Hispanic, Arab American. I mean, it goes on and on and on. And now it's transgender plantations. I'm not on a plantation. We came out of that mentality a long time ago. Why do we want to go back and separate ourselves by having a politician put us on a plantation so that they can use us and target us to stay in power? I'm smarter than that. And you know what I believe? I believe the country is smarter than that. Now let me get back to what your question really was. What do I see in President Trump? The reason why I admire President Trump, I trust President Trump, number one, he does what he says he will do. But President Trump has the qualities every statesman should have, and this is why we should vote for them. Number one, he cannot be bribed. He has his own money, so therefore he cannot be controlled. And number two, he fiercely loves this country to the point of death and sacrifice. No other president or person or politician has sacrificed what this man has. And that is honor. He is bringing honor back. And that's what I see the young people, they're really coalescing around him, is because that's what they want. They want someone of honor and character. And that's where we're headed. We're headed to restoration. We're not a democracy. We are a republic. 1776, we're going back there and grabbing that Constitution where all men are created equal. That's what Martin Luther King said. The Declaration of Independence supports the Constitution. The Constitution is based on the Bible. So if you read the Constitution, understand it, you'll understand the Bible. If you read the Bible and understand it, you'll understand the Constitution.
Were there any policies that Kamala Harris had that you were a fan of?
Absolutely not. Not one. She didn't have any policies. She was installed, not elected.
What is the number one thing you're looking forward to seeing Trump do when he is in office in January?
Do exactly what he said he would do. He would get rid of illegal immigrants. And I'll tell you why that's important. If we do not have national sovereignty as a nation, then every single American citizen does not have individual sovereignty. We're all at risk.
I'm going to ask you a few more questions. It is the day of the election, or the election just ended, and it did come out very quickly. How are you celebrating the election, or is there anything that you're a little bit not so sure about?
I was positive about the election all the way, and I'll tell you why, because I follow the prophets. I have followed the prophetic, the Trump prophecies, and you can Google them. You can go on YouTube, and Kim Clement back in 2007 said that God was going to raise up a leader in our country when our country was so divided that it could not absolutely come together. This leader would be a warrior president because he must get rid of our enemies, just like David in Israel. He called him David. Trump is our David, just like Israel had a David in the Bible. And I'm sure you read about or heard about David slaying Goliath. Well, we have a Goliath too, and we need to get rid of our enemies. The enemies that seek to destroy us from within. So that is the first thing, is he must destroy the enemies of this nation. And then number two, unite the nation. And I can see the uniting already happening. People are coming together from everywhere, from all those plantations. They're moving off those plantations into Make America Great Again. MAGA is not MAGA, M-A-G-A. MAGA is a declaration.
How do you see this declaration playing out for the next 4 years? And since this will probably be Trump's last time being able to be in office after these 4 years, how do you see the MAGA tradition keep going on after?
I see it keep going because we came off of the plantations, and it's each individual. Here in the Trump store, one of the reasons you asked me why I opened the Trump store, when the election happened, I said, you know what? Every person must, freedom is not free. Every person must participate in their own freedom, and it's got to cost something. So I purchased signs. I bought a huge sum of signs. I won't tell you how much money, but anyway. And when people came, I said, okay, I want you to put a sign out. That's all I ask of you. Just put one sign in your yard, okay? Here, I want you to give a donation. Why the donation? You decide how much you want to give. Give a donation. And guess what? People did that eagerly. It didn't matter their means because they were participating in their own freedom. The opposite is, I'm going to give you free stuff. I'm just going to hand you free stuff. You know, we have a generation that's been given free stuff and they don't appreciate because they have not experienced, having some pride, of ownership and pride of being part of something. And so everybody participated. And so therefore everyone has participated in their freedom. And I'll tell you, go back to Harris and I'll go back to socialism. I'll go back to the other side, okay? And that is un-American. The reason it's un-American is because America was founded on individualism. We have to be unique individuals and be able to think freely in order to fulfill our purpose, our God-given purpose on this earth. That is where our fulfillment comes from. It's doing what I was created to do. When I was in high school, I ran track and I had the most wonderful coach. And my coach always told me, he said, you stay in your lane because if you move out of your lane, you will trip somebody else up and get hurt. So I learned that. And he said, always stay in your lane in life. My dad taught me, find out what your gift is. Everybody has a gift. Everyone. God gave us gifts. So find out what it is. That's my responsibility going through my life, is to discover what it is that I'm gifted at and then do it so well that someone will pay you to do it. The one thing I love to do is do laundry. And so I owned a commercial laundry for 20 years and then sold it. So we need to, and it provided a great life for me, a great living for me. And I love the people. So if we just follow that gifting in life, guess what? We will serve people properly and in the right sense, in the right order. And it'll all work out just perfectly fine.
Based on that, are your family members Trump supporters? Or was this a upbringing that you've always had, the Republican Party? Or do you have a blended family?
I don't have a blended family. There were five of us, and I'm the second oldest. But ironically, I have one who is she's dual citizenship, Sweden and American. And she's lived abroad for, 30 years now. She's a Juilliard graduate. She was a dancer, professional dancer. She teaches at the University of Sweden. And she's liberal. And I have another sister that lives in Chile. She's a lawyer. And I have a brother who lives in California. But and a sister that lives in North Carolina. She's a Marine. So we were all raised as Democrats in our household. However, I did not vote Democrat. When I first voted, I was 28 years old and I voted for Reagan. And here's why I voted for Reagan. It was in the 80, ran against Jimmy Carter. When my 6-year-old daughter came home from Catholic school and she said, Mom, we were talking about the election at the dinner table. She said, Mom, the Democrats want to kill the baby humans and save the baby seals. And I thought, what did you say? She said, oh, Mom, the Democrats want to kill the baby humans and save the baby seals. I went to the library and looked at the party platform, and abortion was number one. So I asked myself a question. Why? What does that have to do with my nation? what does have to do with, what does murdering children, babies, the most innocent of all, what does that have to do with, you know, the economy or anything else? Why would I vote for that? And I asked myself that question. I started doing a little bit of research. And I said, oh my God, this is going all the way back in scripture where they murdered the children. So I can't do that. And it's amazing how we just don't think. We don't do our research. And I saw my mom absolutely switch as well. My sister, who's the Marine, switched. We vote Republican. We vote conservative. But the other ones, I'm not sure how they vote now. But, everybody has to come to their own conclusions.
So would you credit your 6-year-old daughter for your
Mm-hmm.
voting?
I absolutely do. She went to Virginia Tech.
What did she major in?
And she majored in double major, horticulture and English.
Okay.
She lives in Minnesota.
So I'm guessing that she also is a Trump supporter.
I'll tell you, she was very conservative until she went to Tech, and she came out of Virginia Tech, a flaming liberal.
Is she still liberal, or is she?
She's switching. She's coming back. Yeah.
Speaking of Virginia Tech, I know that Montgomery County became very blue because of mostly Virginia Tech students. How do you see that impacting your business, or does it impact it at all?
It doesn't impact my business, really. A lot of that influence was imported into this red area. You have a lot of professors who are not from here. And a lot of it, if you always say, trace the money, you got to follow the money. I also had an advisory business, a financial advisory business with Edward Jones. And so I understand how money flows. And you just follow the money, and you can tell. And so that's what I do. I just look at the money. I do the research, and I can see who's paying for what. And that's why people do what they do.
Do you have anything else you would like to add, or anything else you would like to give any more information to us?
Well, I can tell you that the Trump store has been a wonderful experience. Actually, I was here 2 years, and people were afraid to come into the Trump store because they were afraid of what people would say. And I said, you know what? We have free speech in this country, and we can wear T-shirts if we want to. We can put a Trump hat on if we want to. I mean, what is this that says, oh, you can't wear a Trump hat, but yet on the other side, you look at these Subarus and they got 1,000 stickers all over the cars and nobody says anything. You put one Trump sticker on your car and somebody wants to key your car. That's not my America. It is not my America, and I won't stand for it. So we all have to band together, because if there's injustice anywhere, there's injustice everywhere. And if someone's freedom is taken away anywhere, then everybody's freedom is taken away. So, and that's what Martin Luther King said. So I'm proud to see, our president win. It was there all the time. We were blue in we were red in 2020, and we are getting redder and redder. It was a landslide. California is actually red. There was a lot of shenanigans and cheating going on. It's been going on for a long time. This is not the first time. It's been going on for years. And so all of that's going to be vindicated. So I'm just looking forward to it.
Do you think there's any cheating in this election?
Absolutely. No? They even got caught. I mean, there's been places where people were actually caught. Yes, because they were watching. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter, how much we try to hide things. There is one thing, and there's one principle, and it's a God-given principle. And he says that everything done in the dark will be brought to the light. Truth stands on its own. A lie needs a government to back it.
Thank you so much for doing this interview with us. I really appreciate learning more about you and the store. I wish you the best of luck with your business.
Thank you so much for asking.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.